Good afternoon, everybody. My name is AJ Kuftic, and I'm Principal Technologist with Expedient. I want to thank you for joining me today. Today, I'm going to help you make sense of the cloud. Before we get started, though, quick housekeeping. If you have any questions, please enter them down here, about right here, into the Q&A panel. That helps us keep track of the questions. We have our VP of Pre-Sales Engineering, Rob McCafferty, on. He'll be answering questions live in the Q&A panel, and then he'll join me at the end, and we'll take questions live after the session. If you ask a question, you're entered to win a prize. That prize this week is a Ninja blender. Get those soups going. Got a lot of leftover turkey. Probably want to turn that into soup, and a blender can absolutely help with that. So if you ask a question, you're entered to win a prize for that. Also, this is all being recorded. So if you have to step away, you want to help someone else make sense of the cloud, you'll get a link in your email. You can also go to our website, go.expedient.com/webinar replays. That actually has not just this replay, but it'll have all of the other webinars that we've done. So if you want to go back to other ones, you can do that. We also have our YouTube page, youtube.com/expedient, and our instagram.com/_expedient. But let's dig into this. But before we dig too deep into this, I want to tell you more about Expedient. We were founded in 2001. We started as a co-location provider, moved into managed services, and are now in cloud. We have cloud locations, US East, Central, and West. Happy birthday, Phoenix. And we have international cloud deployments on our customer sites in Australia, Germany, and Canada. So if our cloud locations don't work, we can bring that cloud to you. And that applies domestically as well. That doesn't matter if you're in one of our areas or if you're in an area where you're not near one of our data centers, we can help bring that cloud to you. And we've been a VMware cloud provider since 2007. We have thousands of virtual machines on our platform. So we've been able to run these solutions at scale and meet the needs of you and your business. But before we get too deep into this, we kind of have to start at the beginning. And where do we even begin when we start thinking about cloud? Let's take a step back to about 2010. Everybody now has virtual machines, right? This is sort of the peak of that onrush of all of the virtualization that started happening in about 2007, 2008. It is now far more common in 2010 to virtualize your applications. This isn't new. People are virtualizing domain controllers, production apps, mission critical apps, everything. And with that, there's a lot more confidence in the ability to pull things away from physical infrastructure. And right around the same time, AWS comes out with the concept of public cloud, right? This is where you're taking a shared instance, but doing it at a massive scale, but building your infrastructure and not having to think about anything that's on the bottom. And this is a big deal. But at the time, people were still kind of thinking that maybe their on-prem environment was still pretty good, right? They still had a fairly sunk cost in terms of data center and hardware and storage and so on. They said, well, how can I do that, but in my data center? And that's where private cloud comes into play. And private cloud is a great concept, but in practice has a struggle because there's no real great way to handle the actual infrastructure itself, the physical infrastructure. You can put a self-service portal up and you can sling VMs all over the place, but you're still patching all your hosts. You're still managing resources. You're still managing all these pieces. And so, yeah, it's a cloud, but not really. You're still very limited to what you're capable of buying and putting in your data center. At the same time, public cloud starts to diversify a little bit. We start to get into IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So IaaS is where most of the public cloud things started, right? AWS, Azure, GCP all have compute instances and storage and network, the basic infrastructure. They start to take on things like platform as a service, Amazon with RDS, Google with BigQuery, and starting to offer, in essence, higher level infrastructure platforms that you can start to consume. Things like big data, databases, even application in like Google's App Engine, where I can bring a website in and not have to worry about the web server that's on the bottom, right? Things like that are really, really powerful to developers. And then there's SaaS, right? Office 365, Salesforce start to make bigger inroads into bigger customers because they're now capable of hitting things at a very, very high level, a very high number of accounts. And the businesses are starting to see what's valuable for them to maintain and own and what's not. But then people say, I understand this whole public cloud thing, but there's a part of me that wants to do maybe some things on-prem too. And now I want hybrid cloud. So I have some out in the public world. I have some in the private world. How do I make sure that they're fine on both sides? How do I manage my workloads across those? How do I manage my things across hyperscale clouds like AWS, Azure, and GCP, and enterprise clouds that are powered by VMware like Expedient? How do I manage both of those? Well, that means that I have multiple clouds, right? I have multiple clouds, and maybe I can put my applications on all of them and spread them across all of them and balance out the load across that entire thing, and we'll make it really better. But I need something to do that. So now I'm going to put all my applications into containers. And if I put them all into containers, then I can spin them up and spin them down, and I can deploy them wherever I need to go. But now that I've put everything in the cloud and everything's in a centralized data center, now I have this edge that I need to worry about because I need to pull in all this data, and it's a lot. There's not a great way to try and keep track of all of that. You just want to put your head in your laptop. It is a huge amount to try and keep up with all of those things because the industry is constantly shifting. It is a mess, an absolute mess. It almost looks like a conspiracy theory map if this is like tied to this somehow, right? And a lot of this comes back to the fact that there's varying definitions. If you go with Gartner's definition of multi-cloud, you're running your application on multiple clouds. Some other definitions of multi-cloud means that you're using multiple clouds for various purposes. Those are not the same thing. And so as we start to bring these sorts of things forward, we have to have good definitions, because if you just say, we're going to go be multi-cloud, and you don't know what the definition of that is, you're going to run into varying success. I'm not really going to have a great way to measure whether or not this cloud migration or cloud usage is successful in any way, shape, or form, because I don't have any real definition of what success is. So how do we clean this up? How do we actually make sense of this? We have to redefine. And that redefinition starts all the way at the very bottom. What is cloud? What does that actually mean? In our definition, cloud is defined as having a shared set of resources that's managed by somebody else that is paid for in a consumption-based model. But that means that a whole lot of stuff is cloud. Office 365 is a cloud. Salesforce is a cloud. There's a whole lot of different clouds that are out there that our customers and you guys are able to use. And by mixing them all together, we're able to build better platforms. So what is multi-cloud? Multi-cloud is utilizing multiple clouds to their best purpose, not running multiple applications across multiple clouds. It is utilizing clouds in the best way possible, right? You don't use Office 365 for applications. You use that for collaboration. You don't use Salesforce to host a website. You use it for sales functions and CRM, right? So how do we actually get to these sorts of things? Well, when customers usually think about multi-cloud, they think about what I refer to as the bad way. You've got AWS, you've got Azure, you've got GCP, you've got private cloud, and you try to figure out a way to put your application onto all of them. And all of them point to things like what happened last week with Amazon. Amazon Kinesis goes down, it affects multiple services, and everybody puts up the big sensationalized headline, Amazon down, Amazon outage. That's a neat concept. It's not entirely true. If you actually look at what happened, one region of Amazon had issues. Not all of it, one region. And so what people end up doing is they think, oh, I got to get around that. I can't have all of my stuff in Amazon. It goes down. And so they start to overthink and they get cute and they think, I'm going to put my application in AWS and Azure, and then I'll never have to worry about this again. But the problem is that they're trying to solve for a very, very, very limited benefit, which is AWS in totality going down. That's not happening. It's just not. Neither is Google, neither is Microsoft, neither is your private cloud. None of those things are going to go down in totality. You may have a region issue, you may have an availability zone issue, but in totality as a cloud, they're not going down, right? They've designed this so that that's not going to happen. And so by building to this limited benefit of statistical improbability, they've maximized the amount of complexity. They've maximized the amount of heartburn they're going to have when they start troubleshooting issues and the amount of money they're going to spend on egress fees. It's like living in two houses. Sure, you have another house to move into if your house catches on fire, but the probability of your house catching on fire isn't high enough to warrant the cost of a second home right next door, right? You have to pay for maintenance in both of these places. Same plumbing, same structural, same electrical. All of those issues appear in both houses, and you have to pay for both of them. You have to pay for the houses themselves. You're paying double the cost. You have to furnish both of those houses. Maybe you sleep in one of them and cook everything in the other, but that's not really getting your value out of both of these houses. You're not maximizing the value that you're getting out of being in any one of them by only being in them half the time. So there's a better way to do this. And the better way is to take your application and look at its most valuable function. If I have a retail application, the most valuable piece of a retail application is the data that's inside of it. Sales, orders, what inventory we have. All of those pieces are the most important part of those applications. So what do I need to do to make sure that I'm utilizing a cloud to its most effective? And so we keep it simple. You take your application, you put it in one cloud and utilize the best practices to design against availability zone, region, and data center level failures. In Expedient's cloud, that's our push button DR product. If one of our data center fails, you fail over to the other one. Done. In Amazon, you design and utilize services across region. You design and utilize services across availability zones. And you build it for and optimize its purpose. If I'm going to take my retail application out and I want to use something like big data, I might go use Google BigQuery because it's super simple and I can go take that on. But my fast platform, Google has cloud functions. Cloud storage, storage buckets. CRM, that might be my compute instances because we wrote that CRM and not another vendor. Great. I've just taken that application and utilized a cloud to its best functions. You can do the same thing with Azure. You can do the same thing with AWS and in our platform as well. Don't overthink it. Think about your applications and what's going to happen at 2 a.m. when you're trying to deal with connectivity issues between those clouds, because they don't make that easy, right? You have to go across the internet. You have to deal with egress fees. You have to deal with all of the pieces and complexity that you would if you were trying to go across 2 different data centers. Nothing's really changed there. Pick the right cloud for the right workload. It's like utilizing the rooms of a house more effectively, right? Each space has a function. You cook in your kitchen, you relax in your living room, you sleep in your bedroom, and you wash in your bathroom. I mean, sure, you can sleep in your living room and relax in your bedroom and cook in your bathroom and wash in your kitchen, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. Utilize and optimize your usage of your places to its fullest extent. You will get the most happiness out of doing that. You will get the most efficiency out of that, because part of going to the cloud isn't so much just doing so to say you're in the cloud and you get the nice little kudos and PR. It's actually gaining better efficiencies, taking away the work that's on the bottom so you can focus on the front line of your applications and focus on having the best customer experience possible. So how do you do that? How do you actually optimize your usage? And that's where we come in. We can help you get there. We now have cloud assessments where you can reach out to us and we can help you figure out what is the best use for your applications. We can do an assessment And coming soon, it'll be on our website where you can actually go out and put in some of your details to figure out what's the best fit for some of your applications. These cloud assessments are going to be very, very beneficial to actually sitting down and putting the magnifying glass and a second set of eyes to help you figure out where you need to go before you make a mistake based on maybe wanting to go with a specific name, or you want to match somebody else that you want to match the success that someone else had, but your applications aren't exactly the same. We want to help you avoid that and optimize your cloud usage so that you're not putting yourself in a bad situation. And for those legacy and current applications, and even those physical ones, you can land those on our enterprise cloud today and get the cloud operating model for your existing applications. That frees up all of that maintenance time, all that patching time, all of that monitoring time, so that you can focus on this cloud journey and accelerating your path there. And then if your applications are inside of our cloud, we have our cloud on-ramps. That is our high-speed connectivity to the hyperscalers so that you can get the best and fastest connections possible to make the experience between maybe your legacy and current applications and your next generation applications that much faster. Because really what this comes down to is you want to go to the cloud. Maybe some of your applications aren't ready, and that's okay. We're here to help. We can take those current applications, those physical workloads, and even your cloud native workloads on so that you can start to deploy your next generation applications or take advantage of the bigger platforms that exist inside of the hyperscalers, things like big data, AI, and ML that are really difficult to build on premises, but are much, much easier for the hyperscalers to build at a much more cost-effective model for you. So please join us in 2 weeks. Next week, we're free, so enjoy the week. In 2 weeks, we're going to have a Q&A on December 15th with Laura Larimer. She is the IT officer for Indianapolis Public Schools, and she has a great, great story about how technology has helped maintain education and help keep kids educated during the pandemic, but also as they're going forward, what they were successful with before the pandemic and what they're going to be using going forward once we're able to get back to a more normal life. And on the 16th, we're going to have a very cloudy Christmas carol. This should be very, very fun. I do hope you join me for that. We're going to talk about how the ghosts of cloud future could come for you. And with that, we can schedule a test drive. You go to expedient.com/VMware-test-drive, or if you have interest in a cloud assessment, reach out to me at aj.kuftic@expedient.com, or you can go to expedient.com and click on the Let's Talk link at the top, and you can talk to us about where it is that you're looking for and how maybe Expedient can help you from an assessment standpoint. And with that, I will open it up to question time with Rob. Rob, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I was just in the middle of typing some responses. So let's
fast and furious today.
Yeah, let's jump right into it. A bunch of different themes out there, and I guess we can start with someone asked there were a couple of questions around, this idea of running workloads in multiple clouds. Doesn't that lead to additional complexity from a configuration and management perspective? There were also several questions around the security of running workloads in multiple clouds. And I guess I would answer that with, that's the value that someone like Expedient can provide, right? Our products and services take into account that you may be running things on premise in your data center, you may be running things in an enterprise cloud like Expedient, and you may be running things in a public cloud. And being able to provide, a layer of service that can go across all of those different types of clouds is what we see the need to be in the marketplace and the need to be going forward. So providing a management plane that allows you to understand the workloads that you have in each cloud, understand what the cost of each of those workloads are currently, and what the cost of each of those workloads would be if you ran them in a different cloud. Being able to understand each of those workloads and their compliance and security needs, as well as inside of that same kind of management plane, giving you the ability to deploy new workloads based off of templates or out of an app store at the click of a button but before you push the button to deploy it, you know what it's going to cost in each of your different cloud options. So that's kind of that management layer that we provide. The second layer down under that is the security layer, and providing you solutions for like endpoint protection, micro segmentation, firewalling across clouds as well, so that you build a security policy around a VM or an application, and no matter where you run that application, the security policy is applied, whether that's on-prem, public cloud, Expedient type of cloud. So building solutions like that are where we see the need in the marketplace. We see that's what our clients are asking for, and our goal is to get your applications running in the right cloud, in the right environment, and then provide those services that can bring them all together, not only from the management perspective, but also from a connectivity and networking perspective as well.
I see a couple of questions here about how we differ or compare to an AWS and Azure, et cetera. Really what it comes down to is that the hyperscale clouds are all built on their own hypervisors. They're built to have their own storage, networking capabilities, so on and so forth. Our cloud is VMware powered. It's the same ESX, NSX, vSAN that you would be running on-prem today. So you're able to bring over your applications without any refactoring. You can lift and shift right into our environment and not have to worry about any sort of weird conversions or agents or anything like that. And then we offer a number of infrastructure capabilities like our cloud data protection for backups and our push button DR for disaster recovery. So you can get end-to-end infrastructure as a service in the same manner that you would be doing it on-prem, but then you're taking away all of the effort that you put forward to actually manage and maintain those things. Azure and AWS and others offer a number of other platforms on top of them, which is why we're helping customers move and understand where they're putting their applications and where their applications are a good fit and where those applications are not a good fit. So a lot of this comes back to figuring out what's the best place for those applications. Not every application is meant for a hyperscale cloud. You can take your legacy application and put it into AWS, but by doing so, you might be putting yourself into a higher payment in order to actually make that work, because you need to build a big VM, even though it's not really necessary to run it all the time, but the application doesn't like being shut down and start up over and over again. So finding the right fit for your applications and making it as smooth as possible for your business is what we're after. So from a big comparison standpoint, that's what it comes down to. I also saw another one around, is it cost effective for a small business that only has about 10 to 15 employees to move applications to a cloud server for some failover disaster recovery model to not have to worry about physical computers or servers at their office? Absolutely. For the most part, you have from a physical server standpoint, especially small business, you don't have a data center, you have a computer room. And if you don't have a computer room, you have a data center closet, as I like to refer to it. The failover capabilities you're going to have might go to a second site. It's going to be painful and it's going to be a ton of effort for you. By migrating those applications to either a SaaS platform from your vendor or into a cloud like Expedient, we can give you enterprise capabilities without the enterprise prices. This makes it a lot easier for you to do the things that you need to do and focus on your small business instead of focusing on the big loud box that's in the closet.
Yeah, one other kind of theme of questions that are coming in are, do we support a variety of different applications that have some unique needs from a compute or storage or licensing perspective? And the answer, absolutely, right? We have different types of platforms for different types of needs. That's one of the things that also sets us apart from the public cloud providers, is we can work with you to design a solution to meet the need of your application. We can mix together our shared cloud platform, our private cloud platforms, but still provide that same layer of management across both of them. So flexibility is definitely one of the big benefits of Expedient and working with you to build those solutions. I think the other piece of that was around DR and some of the technologies that are used there. We use a variety of different technologies to accomplish our DR, but we really look at it from an RPO perspective. So, offering services in kind of near real time, where your RPO may be measured in the seconds, where from an RPO perspective, you're in that 5-minute range, and then an RPO in the 4-hour range. So it really just depends on the application requirements and needs, and we can kind of design a solution to meet those needs as well. But a handful of questions around security. So, we can, from a security perspective, that's another one where we offer a variety of services, from endpoint protection through network protection, through microsegmentation, firewalls, ransomware protection, all of those types of different services. It really comes down to what you need and what your business requirements are, right? Everybody doesn't need all of those things. Some folks do, depending on compliance and all those types of things that your business might need.
I saw here more explanation of asking about the cloud on-ramp. The cloud on-ramp is our connectivity that we have from our data centers to Equinix point of presence. So we're able to provide, I believe it's 100 gig connectivity from our data center into those point of presence, which gives you the very fast, very low latency to AWS, Azure, GCP, basically anybody inside of the cloud exchange. So there is a number of models there on how we can actually help get you there faster, instead of you standing up your own circuits, your own direct connects, or even standing up your own VPN tunnels. We can help get you there faster. I also saw a question around support for 2FA. Yes. We have one login as the front end for our identity. All of that is 2FA, and we're working as hard as we can on getting more of our services inside of it, but our Expedient Enterprise Cloud is inside of that today. So you're able to get 2FA on the front end now.
Yeah, one question came in about what do we do around scoping of migration and taking a look at the total cost to go to the cloud. So as AJ kind of talked about the assessments, that's really the first part, right? Is understand where you are today and where you want to get to, and then determining what is the right place for each of those applications and building a plan to get you there. Migration is something that Expedient includes with our service, right? So it's our goal to make that transition to cloud as easy as possible for you and your organization, and help you get to that end goal. So, just giving you a website to log into and letting you check the boxes that you want to provision from a services perspective and wishing you the best is not our philosophy, right? Our philosophy is that we are going to be with you and help you through that journey to get to the cloud and make sure that you are successful.
Yeah, that one is the hard one. That's the one that we offer. That's another differentiator for us, is our ability to actually help you get there. We don't want to just hand you the services and go. That's one of the hardest parts of cloud, is that you can just go out with a credit card and swipe and off you go. But that's also a great way to stumble your way into building the wrong thing. Someone asked, how secure is data center in the cloud, and who is responsible for security, you or the client or any third party? Data in the cloud is, this platform itself is secure. So we offer a number of compliance attestations. So SOC 1, SOC 2, SOC 3, I believe. I know SOC 1 and SOC 2. I know we have HIPAA and high trust. We also have PCI DSS attestations. So we have all of that from a security standpoint. And from a security responsibility, we are responsible for securing the platform. You're responsible for making sure that your data is still secure. That's the same thing with pretty much any of the clouds, right? Amazon's not responsible if you open an S3 bucket to the internet and your sensitive data goes. It's up to you to secure your keys. It's up to you to secure your passwords, those sorts of things. But the base platform itself is secure. I know Rob touched on earlier insights on best practices for maintaining policies and compliance. This is generally around things like having a multi-cloud tool set, things like Terraform, Ansible, those sorts of things, and building out proper configuration management the entire way through. Actually, just somebody just asked what compliance are offered. We just answered that, but I will say it again. PCI DSS, SOC 1, SOC 2, High Trust, HIPAA, GDPR. So we have all of the various attestations. We make sure that our platform's secure, so you don't have to worry about that part, but you still have to worry about whether or not your data is stored securely in your own databases, for example. That's still on you and your application level support.
One question here again around like SLAs. So in general, Expedient offers a 100% SLA on all services provided. It is kind of your choice in how many data centers you have your data replicated to. You can have it in one data center, you can have it in two, you can have it in 3 or 4 if you choose to. So those all will affect, you know, the ability to recover if you needed to. From a DR perspective, right? I talked a little bit earlier about the recovery point objectives, and we kind of have similar kind of tiers of recovery time objective as well. If you take a look at our website, you'll see some things out there about push button DR. That's kind of our top tier service, and that provides you the ability to fail over between sites or environments within minutes, and that also includes the failover of networks as well. So any of your public-facing applications that are being, you know, presented outward, those public IPs, as well as all the security policy that goes along with those, would be migrated as well. So, you know, there can be solutions designed to fail over in minutes, up to hours and days, really just depending on the requirement of each application. And it's not a one size fits all. You can have some applications that will fail over kind of as tier 1, others that will fail over as tier 3, and we can build that solution out for you.
Saw a question here around how do we know how to plan for the future of cloud? And besides Hyper-V and vSphere, doesn't an on-premise still need to be on hand then? DAS has SaaS comes out and the cloud is presenting hybrid cloud, multi-cloud. What's next? It really depends on your business. One of the things that the pandemic has kind of put out there is that we're all generally remote now. A lot of these services are still coming back into, you know, on-premises data centers. One of our biggest, you know, capabilities is the ability to take those Hyper-V and vSphere platforms and manage those for you in our data center so that you have the best capabilities. And then that takes away some of those services that need to stay on premise. We definitely have customers who maintain a small on-premise amount of workloads, right? Domain controllers, print servers, those sorts of things. If they feel that that is really, really important for them to maintain from an on-premise standpoint. In fact, last month we did a Q&A with Kapler, one of our customers. That's on our website, go.expedient.com/webinar replay, where they talk about why they kept some things on-prem. It was a choice that they had made because they thought it was important for their business. And we're not going to tell you know, this print server can absolutely go and you should move it and you're silly if you don't. If it's important to you or it's something that you know from your institutional knowledge that print jobs are big and when they go over the wire, they can get lost or they've had problems and it affects your business, it's not worth your time to move it, right? So being able to have that insight into how your business works, what challenges you've had, and even then sometimes challenging the challenges to say, hey, that was a problem like in 2008. It's been 12 years. We have better internet connectivity. Maybe that's not so bad now. Let's give it a try again. So there's a number of capabilities there. It comes down to your business and it's sadly though comes down to it all depends. From a planning standpoint, it involves taking the fine-tooth comb to your applications and understanding them so that you can figure out what is the best move forward for you. It's not every cloud is for everybody, and that's okay.
Question about burstability, specifically around retail in this case, but in general, right? Our solutions are designed to allow you to do that. Right? We understand that business isn't, you know, static across every day of the year. Some folks in retail, right? Like right now is their busy time. If you're in, you know, accounting or taxes, right? February and March are your busy time. So every business has a different time of the year where they may see some uptick. So we do provide that flexibility to give you the resources that you need when you need them, but not lock you into paying for things that you don't need for the whole year when you only need them for a short period of time.
I see a question here around analytics and monitoring tools like resource availability planning. Do we have such a tool? We have a number of tools available in our tool set. We have a big partnership with Elastic. So from a monitoring and analytics standpoint, we have the Elastic capabilities in our environment. We can talk with you about what it is that you're really looking for there in terms from a deep analytics and monitoring, because everybody's desires around monitoring can be different. Do you want application level monitoring or just system level monitoring, those sorts of things. But from a resource availability and planning, that is something that we're working on building out and getting better at helping customers forecast. That's one of the big challenges of hyperscale cloud is how do I forecast the amount of usage I'm going to have, right? Rob just talked about the burstability of, retail and accounting things. Those have very specific seasons. Your business may not. And so by helping you forecast out some of your things based on what you're building, what you're using, those can be big benefits. We actually have a question from LinkedIn Live. So by the way, we've been live streaming the last couple webinars, not just here on our Zoom, but also on our LinkedIn Live. So linkedin.com/Expedient. You can watch over there too. We do have a question. Do we have integrations with GCP? We are working on a number of things as part of our cloud assessments and also some of our management tool sets to help customers manage their workloads in multiple places. So there's a little bit more to come on that.
I think we'll wrap it up with this one. The question is, are all cloud services compatible with each other? And, I guess as the standard answer goes, it depends, right? On, what types of services you're talking about and what your goals are. But that is our goal, right? Is to take the best of breed from each of the different cloud types and provide them as a single solution from a security, from a manageability, and from a cost perspective, and give our clients the benefit of different types of clouds for different type of workloads as they build out new and applications.
So to wrap this up, real quick announcement. Congratulations to Phil Larson. You're the winner of the blender. So smoothies are on Phil now. You can join us in 2 weeks. We're going to be talking with Laura Larimer again from Indianapolis Public Schools about technology and education, and then doing a very cloudy Christmas carol to finish off the year. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.